week's edition of the DC Life. I'm your host, Sal Mika. I got my co-host, Michael Frankel, and we're here live inside the Fight Shop, New Mexico. We have our first guest. He's going to be joining us shortly. He's actually on the line already. He's the owner of Damage Control Mouthguards. The UFC just announced that they have a partnership with a company called Guard Labs for mouthpieces. So this affects, just like the Reebok deal affected the Fight Shop New Mexico and the fighters and everybody else trickled all the way down, this is now going to affect the mouthguard companies. And we're just lucky to have a friend that's in the mouthguard company here in New Mexico. So without further ado, Delano, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what was your first thoughts on this partnership?
To correct you, what you said earlier, or to clarify, I don't think this is going to affect the mouthguard companies at all, like the Reebok deal. Only because, what are they doing exactly is, they're offering a free mouthguard for a UFC fighter. How many UFC fighters are there in the roster? 400?
I believe so, yeah, some to that nature.
4 to 5.
Yeah. How many?
400 to 500, I would say, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And growing.
So if the UFC came up to me and said, hey, your company could partner with us and you can make a UFC mouthguard in return and be our licensor, but you have to give 400 fighters free mouthguard, I'd say hell no.
Sure.
So it's gonna I don't know. So it's not really necessarily affecting us because we're in the business to make money and not necessarily to give out 400 mouthguards.
In the press release that they sent out to all the press, they mentioned that they have this new 3D scanner science, to help them really fit the mouth. What is that to you? I mean, you obviously are in the business, so I'm just curious as to what that is.
Yeah, it sounds fancy. So when people, if you hear that or you read that, you think, oh my gosh, they have this 3D printer that manufactures and makes these mouthguards. But no, it's not the case at all. What it is we take impressions for our custom mouthguards. We take impressions and we send out these little putty packets. People take their own impression. They come in here, or they come to my wife's office as a dentist. We'll take the impressions there. And so the 3D thing is there's this new technology out. It's still very expensive because it's not
readily available.
What's that? Yes.
Not readily available for everybody.
Exactly. Not readily available. And so what they do is I had it done to myself because I had Invisalign from my orthodontist. So they scan your mouth with this machine, and it's a big and bulky machine, and that's why the technology is still new. I think they can make it, or they will eventually make it smaller. So and then they get the digital image of your mouth, and then they send it to another machine, which 3D prints it out. And so it's just another method of taking an impression. It's nothing fancy. I've had flirted with the idea of doing something like that, but like Micah just said, it's not readily available, and it's not necessarily our business model. Like we could have a printer that prints them out, but we don't really have. Our business is not to go after dentists for business. Our model is to go after consumers. So if it was readily available, all the dentists had it. There was one on every, in every dental office, or 2 or 3 in every city. I'd be surprised. Then we would consider it, but it's just not part of our business model at this point.
Yeah, I'm looking at their map online, and I'm seeing 7, 8 offices that actually offer the 3D scanning. And the closest one to us, I believe, is in Nevada. I want to say California.
That looks like it's probably going to be in Las Vegas. Wouldn't that, serve pat for the UFC that there's one right there in the main headquarters?
Sure, and that's probably where they'll send the fighters. Or I guess they're going to have it at the Fight Summit, so we'll probably just bring the machine to the Fight Summit. But you know, my wife is a dentist, and we own her practice together, and we've thought about getting a scanner and 3D printer, but it just doesn't really make any sense at this point. If we were an orthodontist or an orthodontist practice, probably would. But, you know, dentists have been doing impressions the way we do impressions for years, and it's just as good. And so back to the, you know, giving out these free mouth guards. I know one other dentist or one other mouth guard company used to do that, and he did it to his demise and other labs' demise. His name is the Fight Dentist. And I can now talk about this because my non-compete clause expired in 2 years, or expired after 2 years, and it's been over 2 years. And, you know, whereas the other labs that he worked with, they had like a lifetime clause. But anyways, so he tried to do that too, and it's just not a good model. So what he would do is he'd say, okay, I'm offering I'm the official Fight Dentist of UFC. I sell a UFC branded mouth guard, and I also provide UFC fighters for a free mouth guard. And so what he was hoping to bank off of was repeat customers. So he would tell them, send your models to me when you need a new mouth guard, and you know, we'll give you a discount. And so what he ended up doing is he used us for a while. The guy still owes me $3,000. So it kind of turned around and bit him on the butt because, you know, he's paying for all this because I used to charge him per mouth guard. So he's paying out of this for his, out of the money out of his own pocket. So, you know, so what he would do is he'd just jump from lab to lab and have the labs end up owning the labs a lot of money. In fact, back when I started working with them, they used to call me up and say, hey, you know, don't work with this guy. He owes me a lot of money, whatever, and I should have listened. But it's just not a good business model. So he didn't want to pay for it out of his own pocket, the Fight Dentist, so he would just basically just burn all the lab tax.
I do remember the Fight Dentist, and he actually had something going with the Ultimate Fighter. He would pump out a mouthpiece.
That's right.
And whatnot. And behind the scenes, it was you creating those, correct? Damage Control actually creating those mouthpieces.
For a time, I worked at
for a period, I should say, yeah.
As a lab for him. That was beginning my business. I would never do anything like that again.
So say this guard lab comes to you and says, hey, look, we need your help. We're going to have you do all the New Mexico-based guys because, as you know, we have Fit NHB, we have Jackson's, we have so many UFC fighters here in Albuquerque. You wouldn't even entertain that idea?
No. Again, you know, I've been in business for 6 years. I've tried different business models. And acting as a lab was one that I tried for a little while, and I probably will do it again. And because we're just so freaking busy with our own stuff at this point, with our own custom mouth guards, we manufacture our own blown by mouth guards, and just our workload wouldn't even permit for something like that.
So let's touch on what the new things are going on at Damage Control, because I noticed that you guys are actually shifting. Yeah, you started out more as a combat sports related mouthpieces, but now I noticed that you guys are actually adding on the football clip to it to go into football. You're sport specific now. You're starting to move around to different sports. What is the growth moving forward in 2016 for Damage Control?
You just hit it on the head. We're exploring new markets. You know, MMA was the market we started off with because, you know, here in Albuquerque and New Mexico, we don't have any other major sports scenes. So we focused on MMA, and pretty much we feel saturated the market. So now we're on exploring new markets. Like we just came back from the world's biggest hockey expo in Minnesota last weekend, and so we're out there trying to push to all the markets.
You're moving into hockey. You're moving into football. I've seen some football teams also have youth football teams have you guys create customs for them as well, Boil and Bites. So it's an interesting time. You guys do have some rash guards, clothing, hats, apparel, I should say. So the strategy is not to stay in the combat sports world, is to expand and grow from there, correct?
Correct.
I had to
Correct.
jump in.
That was the strategy, and then we kind of sprung for it off of that.
I got to jump in. I got to ask. So, what would you rate, being in the industry, the kind of product that Guard Lab produces? How good of a product is this as a mouth guard?
I don't know. I never really examined one. Again, they're operating off a different business model. You know, they're boasting about 3D printing, not really a big deal. Another thing they're boasting about is that performance enhancing, which is a scam. We're talking about scams earlier, but this is definitely a scam. When I first started in the industry, Under Armour was making custom mouth guards. My wife used to sell them. That claimed the same thing, and so we went to the sports dentistry seminar that was in Washington, D.C., and they had the Under Armour quote-unquote scientist up on the podium talking about this, you know, performing enhancing mouth guard, and so little did they know, you know, it was so this sports dentistry symposium was for dentists and lab technicians. My wife went with me, and I was a lab tech, my wife was a dentist. So little did they know, or I'm sure they did know, which is pretty brave of them, that they had all these smart people sitting in the room. And so when it came to question and answers, you had to get up and stand in line to ask a question. So when question and answers came, there was this huge line that gathered, and each asked the question of these scientists. And one of the claims that they made was these performance enhancing mouth guards, they reduce cortisol levels, and cortisol is something that's released in your body that causes fatigue. And so their claims was it's reduced cortisol, and the other claim was it reduced lactic acid, and so that sounds great, you know, for anybody in athletics. But you know, one of the questions that stuck out in my mind when these scientists were being asked questions, it was, okay, so the study that you guys did proved that it reduces lactic acid and reduces cortisol. And they said yes. And they said, okay, now are the levels high enough to really have an effect on athletic performance? And they couldn't answer that question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then
so these claims are, it reduces cortisol, it reduces lactic acid, and you don't want cortisol or lactic acid during, you know, competitive participation. But it's like, yeah, it does it. But so the answer was it does not reduce enough to actually impact athletic performance. But yet they're making the claims that it does, you know, that it's good for. It's good for performance. Why? Because it reduces lactic acid. It reduces cortisol. Yeah, but it doesn't reduce enough to impact athletic performance. And that's one thing about the mouth guard industry. I've been in it for 10 years, and it's just full. It's always been full of these claims, like Brain Pad. I know you guys used to sell Brain Pad at the fight shop, or maybe the old fight shop. But one of the things that they claimed was mouth guards reduce concussion. Well, that went all the way to the federal level, and the feds got on Brain Pad and said, hey, stop making these claims because there's no scientific evidence backing these claims. Mouth guards do not reduce concussions.
That's right.
Or,
I remember that they had to change all their packaging and stuff like that, and that's one of the
That's
reasons
right.
why we went
That's right.
exclusively.
So that's one of the claims they made for years, and then somebody called them on it. The federal government called them on it, and they had to do that. So now you have these companies. Under Armour's been doing it for years. They even sell boil and bite mouth guards for like 5 years, and that are making claims that it increases your athletic performance. But there's no data. There's no scientific evidence to prove that.
Well, on Guard Lab, just to throw this out there now, when we go to it, it says performance benefits, enhances reaction time and focus, reduces stress and tension, stabilizes shoulder, neck, head, and jaw muscles, allows for better airflow, possibly, increases core strength, improves balance and flexibility, decelerates lactic acid buildup. So, how do you like those kind of accusations?
Yeah. I've seen that and I read that, but I have yet to find any university study or even any independent study backing those claims. You know, one of the things that we claim is our mouth guards are the most shock absorbing. We use the most shock absorbing material in the market, and then from that point, we have a link of a study we did with Sandia National Laboratory that proves just that. You know. Testing our material compared to all the other materials that are currently used in the market. There's no links or anything like that. And, you know, the closest thing I got to somebody actually trying to back up these claims was that symposium I went to, and that person just got shredded apart by these smart people in the room that, you know, have degrees in science and things like that. But, yeah, it's pretty hilarious, in my opinion. But again, the mouth guard industry is full of these things, you know, like, reduces concussion, or, you know, just all these fads. Or, you know, it's a great tasting mouth guard, it's flavored, and it's like, it actually makes a huge impact, and these people do make, you know, headway, and then it just kind of just fizzles out.
It sounds like in any business, you know, everybody wants a bigger, stronger, faster, and it's the ones that stay the course and stay consistent on giving good quality products, just like you guys do at Damage Control, that you guys stay the longevity course and the test of time.
Yeah, we, you know, so it's not a big deal,
well,
really. I wouldn't be able to justify giving out that many mouth guards.
Well,
and then if it would have been a big deal if Reebok, like it was before it was Reebok, you know, where, you know, you had other companies have an opportunity to advertise. Like, but no, then again, no, it wouldn't be a big deal because again, somebody's already done what Guard Lab is doing, and that is a fight dentist. And like I said, it ended up biting him and everybody else involved with him in the butt. So it's just not a good business model, and I would repeat that.
Well, Delano, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Being that you are a friend to me personally and the Fight Shop, always selling the Damage Control mouth guards. Thank you for coming on and giving us your reaction to Guard Labs partnering with the UFC, and
that's another thing. You guys carry a product, and you know, that's kind of like our business model too. If somebody wants to go into the Fight Shop in Mexico and buy a mouth guard, they can buy a boil and bite there, and they can also buy a custom because we have these little self-impression take-home kits where they take their impression and they ship it back to us. You know, you don't have to go to a dentist, you don't have to get scanned or anything like that. So. It's just it's a different company using a different model, and I wish all the best of luck to Guard Lab.
Awesome. And on that note, thank you for your time, Delano. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. I love your show. I listen to you guys all the time. Anxious to hear what you guys say about Amber's fight this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's
quite
coming.
Disheartening.
That's coming up on our next segment.
All right. Cool, man.
All right,
take care.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
That was the DC Life Uncensored. We had a nice, quick interview, and it was breaking news. That was the nice thing about this, is it was breaking news. The UFC's just like they signed an exclusive partnership with Reebok for apparel. They signed a partnership with Guard Labs. Fortunately, we have somebody here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, who's been in the business 6-7+ years now in damage control mouthguards. Delano, who heads damage control mouthguards, was kind enough to join us, give us his thoughts on it. It's interesting because there was the fight dentist that was doing this prior to this company coming in with the UFC. They are no longer around in existence. I see the writing on the wall. The same thing with the whole Reebok apparel and fiasco, I should say, and their mess ups. This doesn't seem like it's going to last. I would be really surprised if the Reebok deal lasted, and also this new deal with Guard Labs last, and they can all sustain enough where they're simply outfitting. I don't want to call it uniforms, because then you're getting into a whole nother can of worms, and the UFC is very clear that they're fight kits, not uniforms, because you can't put independent contractors in uniforms. So but that's a whole nother topic for another time. We got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Michael Frankel is going to be joined by Conrad Padilla. Conrad will be fighting April 2nd at Route 66 Casino for Fresquez Productions. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security, patrol, and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
The DC Life Uncensored is back. And right now, we're joined by Conrad Padilla. Rumble at Route 66 is just a little bit away, April 2nd, one half of the main event. Conrad, thank you for the time. How you doing?
Guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing?
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know if there was a delay or not. So.
No, it's good. Go for it. Fourth straight main event. How you feeling about that?
Oh man, it's humbling. It's an honor. It's a lot of pressure for me, considering I only get to fight once a year. But when I do, I'm the main event. So it's I'm just grateful that I'm still thought of as a headliner. So I'm good with it. I'm very good with it.
And then it's been a busy couple weeks for you recently. We saw the gloves that you're going to get to fight in. Diego Sanchez gave you those. What was it like going out to Vegas, UFC 196? You were there with Holly and Diego.
It was amazing. When Diego fought Ross Pearson here at Tingley, he asked me, "Are you going to the fight?" And I said, "No, man." I was like, "I want my first experience to be in Vegas, not at Tingley. No offense to my hometown. I love it here. I've headlined Tingley myself, but I wanted the full experience out in Vegas. I just didn't know I was gonna get like the full experience of seeing all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. The week of the fans. They take really good care of those guys, and I can see why everybody wants to fight in the UFC now. So it was pretty amazing, and if that's as close as I ever get to it, man, I'm good with it. I don't mind being the sparring partner to the stars. It's fun. It's a blast. I'm always learning something new. But just being out there and seeing everything, and we got treated pretty good. Diego took really, really good care of me, and I couldn't ask for a better experience at all.
Having been around Diego so long, what did you see out of him in cage in the fight against Jim Miller?
Oh man, Diego's always intense. Talked to his family a lot, and they're all very, very happy that he went back to being the nightmare, putting the dream back to the side, and it showed, that fire, the intensity. He kept up that great pace, and the guy, what you see in his fights is what I see in practice, and there's no quitting the dude. There's no let up, and it was pretty cool to be a part of that win. So for me, that was. That was a win for me, too, so I was good with it.
And then on the other side of that, what did you see out of Holly? I know you were a big part of her camp. It didn't come out in her, favor that night, but she had 3 great rounds.
So, that happened to me at the Star Center last year, and it sucks to be, you're sitting there winning the fight, and then next thing you know, you're being submitted. I think that's what's so great about MMA is that, the guy losing the fight could be getting wrecked and then pull something great off in the end, and that's what makes for great fights. That's what makes for, memorable fights. People say that Holly needs to work on her ground game, and all I can say is if her ground game was that bad, why didn't she get submitted in the second round? Misha was on her back the whole time, and Holly fought her off. So, I think her ground game is still evolving. I think for what she has learned, she's ahead of way more people that are just sitting on the couch judging. And for only what was she been in the MMA 3 years, right? Is it 3 years?
Full-time 3 years. She was dabbling in it before, but yeah, this full-time run has been about the last 3 years.
Okay, yeah. So she, when was the last time anybody trained in something for 3 years and became a world champion? So I think what she's done has been great.
You there, Conrad?
Are you guys there?
Yeah, are you there?
Hey.
Lost you for a second.
Did you guys lose me?
Lost you. Keep going on what you were talking about, Holly. We lost you.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying that, for what she's done, she's, I think she's been phenomenal, and she's ahead of the game, and she's just a pure athlete. So people sitting there, she's a one-hit wonder. It's just ridiculous. I roll my eyes. But I can't get caught up in that negative energy, and she will be back. So.
And then for you, I know you had told me that up until UFC 196, Diego and Holly were your concern. Now it's time for you to prepare for yourself for fighting. What was it like getting in some training with BJ Penn as you're preparing for your fight?
Oh, dude, that's been, man. You know what? They call him the prodigy for a reason. Me and him are the same age, and we sit there and we joke about it. And but God, dude, that guy, he's strong. He's got great technique and strength. So you put those together, man. People say technique will outdo strength, but man, when you got both, that's that's a high level, and he's where he's at, and he's done what he's done for a reason. And it's great because after practice, he always goes over some drills and some techniques with me, and just showing me all this cool stuff, and it's great. Honestly, it's hard for me not to geek out because like I said, I've looked up to the guy forever. I don't think I've ever rooted against him, and for me, it's just like I said, it's hard not to geek out every day. When I get to roll with him, and spar with him, and and learn from him as well.
And then, going back to the weekend you had out there for UFC, I saw a bunch of selfies. Who'd you geek out the most on meeting?
Oh, man, well, you know what? The highlight of my, what wasn't even any of the fighters. I met Chris Weidman. I saw, Forrest Griffin. And I didn't get a pick with him. Danny Castillo from Alpha Male. Me and him shot the bull about kettlebells. He's a Russian kettlebell complex guy. I'm a strong first gyro guy, and we sat there. We traded some secrets and stuff, and so that was cool. But you there?
Yeah, we're still there listening.
Okay, hold on.
And we're back after technical difficulties. Conrad Padilla joins us again. Where were we at, Conrad?
You're asking me who did I geek out on, and to be honest with you, it wasn't even a fighter. I met Gary Laveau, the lead singer of Rascal Flatts, and that's my daughter Naomi's. That's her band, man. So when I saw him, I was like, I gotta get a FaceTime chat with him and my daughter. And you know what? That guy was so cool, and I'm a fan for life now. He took 2 minutes. He talked to her. She started crying. She freaked out. For me, that was the weekend. Aside from going to the fights, and but that was, like I said, for me that was great because my daughter got to meet her the lead singer of her favorite band. So for me that was cool.
That is awesome right there. And then talking about the family. You're a busy man. How are you able to juggle all this? We know the barber shop. We know you're into the kettlebells, at a gym now teaching that. We've seen you out at the Jackson's Mixed Martial Arts Academy Westside teaching. You're just juggling so many things. How do you do all this? And then also tell us about all these endeavors.
Well, we honestly, my wife's very patient with me, especially around fight time. She knows that it's time to cook good, and she takes really good care of me as far as eating. I'm sure you guys have followed me on Instagram. You guys see all the great food that she cooks for me. I love her to death. She's a big part of my camp. I love Patsy. She's my wife, and man, she's my rock as well. And but we work out together. Like this weekend was great. Me, her, and my daughter. We swung some bells together over at the Fit Studio where I instruct kettlebells. And I tell everybody that it's the fountain of youth doesn't come in it doesn't contain any water. It comes in the form of a little black cannonball with a handle welded to it. So that's how I keep my spunk. You know what I mean? And it's become a family thing. My daughter work out with me, and that's our family time. I tell everybody we're boring, dude. We don't go out, we don't party. That's our thing. And exercise, and Sunday afternoons are our time. But if I'm not spinning all these plates, I go a little crazy. So I gotta always be doing something. And I don't know if that's just something from the military or what, but I always gotta be working and having something to do. Isaac, what happened with that was I was supposed to fight in Hawaii, and this promoter, I really don't know what's going on with him. He keeps pushing it back and all that. So I told my buddy Isaac, you know what, man? I don't have a fight coming up. So if you need help over at Jackson's West, I don't like driving to Rio Rancho. Nothing personal. I just don't like Rio Rancho for whatever reason. That's just me, guys. Don't take it to heart. But I told Isaac, I said, hey man, you know what? I'll be willing to go out there and help you. So, and then I introduced him to my friends, John and Jen, and Ryan Arizari over at Amplified Kettlebell Strength and Conditioning, and now they're making a little combination happy marriage deal where we're going to be doing strength and conditioning over there as well. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not teaching any mixed martial arts or anything there. I'm just doing the strength and conditioning, and that's become what I love to do. So I love to see people go from with no conditioning to having some strength, and it's pretty cool because you see a little fire in their eyes, and it's a good feeling for me as well. But Fit Studio over at Green Jeans Plaza, that's my home. My buddy Justin Tafoya and Adam Valdez, they're taking good care of me over there. They got a really good thing going, and people should stop by and check it out.
And then also you got the barber shop. How do you find time again? Even with those projects, you have businesses. How do you do this time management? Is it just patience and nonstop doing it?
With my barbershop, I've been pretty blessed. A lot of my customers have been really patient with me. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I've gone to appointments so I can take off to practice from 10 to 1. some people, they just don't understand how the appointment works. And I said, well, you just don't drop in to see your doctor whenever you want. You know what I mean? And I'm telling them, I was like, I'm not trying to be some fancy dude, and I'm not trying to overcharge, but I think it's worth it for them, you know, because a lot of people always, you know, they'll walk in and be like, oh, you got one ahead of me, I'll just come back later. And I'm like, well, why don't you just book an appointment? That way you know you walk in and sit down. I mean, yeah, you're paying $5 more, but, I mean, $20 isn't really nothing for a haircut nowadays, you know? And it, at least, you know, it's like, hey, Conrad told me to be here at 1:30. You walk in, the seat's ready for you, and that's how I'm able to manage doing all this stuff. And it's just, I just figured out how to do time management, and it seems to work.
Rumble on Route 66, April 2nd. What do you got to do to get the win against Chevy Bridges?
Well, I've talked to a lot of people who've trained with him. I've gotten a little inside info, and I'm just gonna go out there and be Conrad, man. You know, he's a southpaw and he's a wrestler. Who else is a southpaw and a wrestler? Diego Sanchez, you know, who I've been training with for the past few weeks, and now he's back in the gym. I'm not gonna give any fight news, but yeah, something really exciting is gonna be coming out here pretty soon. So I'm not at liberty to spill the beans on that, so I won't. But there's going to be good things happening for that guy, and it's great, you know. But he, you know, like I said, he's a southpaw, he's a wrestler, and he's a high-level guy, you know. And I can't imagine Chevy Bridges being anywhere near the intensity that Diego brings. So that being said, I think that I handle myself pretty well with Diego, and I think Sunday, April 2nd, Conrad's gonna be back on a win streak. You know, we're gonna start a new win streak starting April 2nd. So I'm feeling really confident. But like I said, it's a little nerve wracking for me. I feel the pressure. I put pressure on myself. So this is Lenny Fresquez's very first card without Holly, and I get to be the main event. So I need Albuquerque to come out, be supportive, and come out. There's going to be some great fights on there. Donald Sanchez is on there. I believe Frankie Lester. You know, if they can find those, if they can find that crazy guy on the opponent, man, that'd be awesome. Because I'd love to see Frankie get out there and go Frank the Tank on somebody. But you know, it's a great card. You know, there's a lot of local talent on there, and I think everybody should come out and have a great time and check it out.
April 2nd, 66 Casino. It's Rumble on Route 66. Thank you for the time, Conrad. Last thing, who you got to thank, who you got to shout out to?
Oh, thank you guys. I want to thank DC Life, man. You know what? Conrad's Barbershop, Kathy, JJ, all my customers, Jackson's Wink, MMA, all my training partners, Fit Studio, everybody over there, Jackson's Association, Rio Rancho. Big shout out to my wife, Patsy, and my daughter, Naomi, always taking care of me, always being patient with me, being my rock, being my support group. Man, that's it. You know, just everybody who's involved in my daily life. I love all you guys, and I really do appreciate everybody. And I know sometimes when I get a little impatient, I tend to snap. You know, you guys don't take that to heart. That's just the weight cut happening. So, and we're on point. So come on out. It's gonna be exciting.
Thank you for the time, Conrad.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
See ya. That was Conrad Padilla. Again, there's a whole stat card, April 2nd. We got new fights being announced all the time on CageMinds.com. That interview was brought to you by our ISP hotline. Check them out. Call ISP.com for all your security needs. The DC Life Uncensored will be
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
International Strategic Partners, not just another security company. Protection for home, business, and self with background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, security, and investigation services available. Contact ISP at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063 or online at callisp.com.
Welcome back. That was Michael Frankel's interview with Conrad Padilla. He's going to be headlining at Route 66 Casino April 2nd. It's going to be Rumble on Route 66. I guess that's what the name of the card is going to be.
Rumble on Route 66.
And
card that's filling up quickly.
Yeah, on CageMinds.com, you actually added local favorites. Adrian Cruz, Donald Sanchez were added to this card as well. Who will they be fighting, and what do you know about them?
Donald Sanchez moving up to 155 pounds lightweight for this fight. Veteran, we know about Donald Sanchez, taking on Omar Alver, who's going to be looking to end a 4-fight win streak. Omar comes out, fights hard, but he's going to be looking to end a losing streak. You got Adrian Cruz, who is going to be taking on Corey Ortiz. Ortiz have listed by the promotion as 2-1. I found him as 1-3, 1-4, 3-5. So he's one of those guys that not every fight has made it to the official record. But again, I believe I saw pro and amateur. He's had 8 of 12 fights end in the first round, whether positively or negatively. He's going to come out to bring a show. We also know that the card is still promising guys like Frank Lester and Anthony Rosema to be in action. We got news on Anthony Rosema coming up also. And then we also had the addition of Rafael Barata de Freitas, one of the best jiu-jitsu players we have out here in New Mexico, taking on a guy that's fearless. I don't care if it's the ring or the cage. The kid, Gene Perez from Belen, New Mexico. Flyweight battle right there, shaping up to be a stat card. A couple nice amateur fights. I'm excited for the return to the cage of Nate Armstrong, who showed promise early in his career at King of the Cage, but has taken some time off. Anthony Rosema, this past weekend, Annihilation 57 Judgment MMA went up to Colorado. Another stoppage, a second round knockout, now 3-0. Also, Judgment MMA scored a victory with Jacob. I'm losing his last name, but he won with a second round triangle choke. Judgment MMA went up there 2 for 2, big wins at Annihilation up in Colorado.
Also, we had on the national scene a local favorite. She went for the title in Invicta, added Invicta FC 16, Amber Brown.
The bully.
The bully got a little bullied.
She got a little bit. Well, it was a highly competitive fight. It was back and forth, and both fighters had their moments. Those Kimuras and arm locks that Amasaka was applying to Brown had me wondering if Brown was going to tap.
Wow.
Brown had the triangle chokes twice. I thought she had the belt.
A couple little adjustments by both ladies, and they could have finished the fight earlier. Amber Brown had this girl. It looked like she went out. Even the ref, if I'm not mistaken, the ref even walked up and grabbed her arm because she thought she was out. There was just little tweaks, little positioning that she had to work on. What surprised me was the stand-up part of the fight. That was kind of odd, just because Amber usually is the bully standing up, and she seemed to be standing straight up and a little hesitant. I don't know if those were nerves, being that you're in a championship fight, or what.
Amber did look a little hesitant. Amber, on the plus side, worked more kicks into her game, but for someone that we know came into combat sports first working on her boxing acumen, she looked hesitant and not able to find her distance on the feet, standing a little too straight up for MMA. But the takedowns, when she got to the ground, there were moments of dominance. There were moments where you thought the win's going to come. Amber Brown could be the new champion. Credit Ayaka Hamasaka. She just kept talking in the postgame about how tough Amber Brown is, that she was going to have to break her arm, that she didn't think she was going to tap. Big win for Hamasaka. Brown, nothing to shrug her head on. I mean, Hamasaka was in her 14th fight. Brown's in her 8th fight. Hamasaka has decades of experience behind her belt. And again, Amber Brown's been in this game 3-4 years. It was a big step up in her career, and it was one, she did not claim the victory, but nothing to hold your head down against. You were not the better fighter that night, but a couple adjustments, like Sal said, could have been. Also, we saw in the co-main event, Jennifer Maia defeat Vanessa Porto. That's big because she's now the interim flyweight champion. Earlier on the card, Roxanne Modafferi won. She called out Jennifer Maia, and it depends to return to see when we'll see the champ come back. Angela Hill A quick, impressive, devastating stoppage of Stephanie Egging, who I thought should have been in the UFC instead of Angela Magana. But Egging coming off of having a child, it was a big return for her. Another impressive one, Jessamine Duke may have cost herself her job. She signed to the UFC. She went down to Invicta to get some cage time and experience, which booed the UFC for not having more women's bantamweight fights. But, hey, look at her, Irene Aldana. She proved that she really is the number one contender in Invicta and deserves another shot at getting the title or maybe even that bump up to the UFC, destroying Duke on the feet, boxing her up, getting a TKO in under 3.5 minutes.
Absolutely, and the girl that I think is next up for the atomweight title is Jin Yu Fry. I mean, she defeated Herika by unanimous decision, I believe it was. Yeah, it was unanimous decision. I think she's going to be the next one up, 5-1. Again, the whole discrepancy of experience and outweighs. But nothing for where do you think Amber Brown goes from here?
To fight Herika Tiburcio in a possible number one contender match. Tiburcio was talking about how she felt she should have earned a rematch. Brown learns, fights another tough fighter. They're both up there in that top regard. And the other sad thing for this is there were not many atomweight fights recently in Invicta, so this top 5 is going to go round and round fighting each other.
And the reason that is because there's a new season of Tough going to be happening. And the 115ers moved into the Tough House with the males. I believe they're 170, 185, something like that. But you'll see them on the Ultimate Fighter. So a lot of girls that are 105 that cut really hard to get to 105.
We lost a couple talents.
Transitioning up to the 115 Tough House. You'll see them cycle back down, I believe. But for the full results, for the full quick results, go to cageminds.com. You can check out the whole full results. And real quick, Micah, before we go for this time, we have King of the Cage coming up.
It's Fight Week, King of the Cage fight game. We know that the main event is Jimmy Flick and Tim Sosa. John Rosema is in the co-main event. From Fit NHB, Austin Lewis, Sherwin Price, and Jamie Henshaw have all said they're going to be in action. I know that from Jackson Winks, Seth Abeda will be fighting Lookouts Casey Yates. We also know that Jesse Tafoya was looking to get back in action. I know guys like Josh Morales. There's a ton of amateurs that have been talking about this card. I know the card's going to be stacked. Hopefully at cageminds.com we'll have it up for you really soon. That's my hope. And then April, we've been talking about April. April 1st, you're in Colorado for Jackson's MMA Series 18. You're going to have Andres the Bullet Quintana versus Prentice Ingram. In the co-main event, Eric Grant versus Javier Palacios. There's a poster floating around Facebook that has the full amateur card. You can check that out. Then you got the next night, April 2nd, is going to be a massive day in combat sports for New Mexico. Starting out in Las Cruces, we're going down south. Anthony Jones, Hector Ocha, Mondo Montoya, Mondo Rivas. Randy McCarty, one of the most entertaining walkouts you'll ever see, versus Sadal Parker. Johnny Guillen versus Ben Acosta. Richard Hawkes, Jerry Sano. That is Southwest Brawl 3 at the Las Cruces Convention Center. You also have SWAC, Southwest Kickboxing. That's South New Mexico. They have announced an event, and like I said, Rumble on Route 66. That's all April 2nd. That's what's coming up nearest, dearest, and closest to us. Also, cageminds.com. This past weekend, Glory had a fight. Check out the quick results up there. Glory 28, 3 titles were on the line.
What a fun-filled week or podcast, I should say. It was busy. We had Damage Control mouthguards on. Delano Romero, thank you for coming on. He was talking about the UFC's partnership with a competing mouthguard company and his thoughts on and his whole take of sponsorship, how it would affect him. We thought it would affect him a little bit more, kind of like Reebok. Come to surprise, it's not going to happen. Then we also talked to Conrad Padilla. Thank him for coming on and making time for us. He talked about the UFC experience with Diego Sanchez. And then also getting ready for his main event fight at Route 66 Casino, as you mentioned, April 2nd. Anything you'd like to touch on before we go?
The Diamond Boy, Matthew Griego, scored another knockout in Arizona. He's now 3-0 in a majority decision. Josh Greer Jr., who we've seen at Legacy Promotions, defeated Jesus Xavier Pacheco, I said the wrong name, in a majority decision, hard-fought fight, very close and controversial. That could be a rematch that we're going to see out here. And then we talked about Saturday, King of the Cage fight game. But Saturday, the UFC has an event. They're in Australia. Mark Hunt, Frank Mir. I think Mark Hunt comes in here as the favorite, seeing that he has the improved ground game and that ever-devastating knockout power, with us having questioned Frank Mir's chin. A more versatile striking game. What are you seeing from that one, Sal?
It depends what Frank Mir shows up. I mean, if it's the Frank Mir with good power and his submission game is always on point, it could be a quick night. If not, I mean, Hunt can knock him out if it's just the Mir that goes in there ho-hum and gets that overhand right thrown, heavy Samoan overhand right, and gets laid out. I mean, it's a toss-up.
That's going to be something interesting. My DVR is going to be going because I'll be at Fight Game. One other note from last weekend. Zab Judah pulled out. Josh Torres did not get to fight. That was disappointing. Hopefully we'll see Pitbull back soon. And again, as always, got to shout out and thank International Strategic Partners, one of our great sponsors. Check them out at callisp.com.
That's it for this week's edition of the DC Life Uncensored. The DC Life is recorded live inside the Fight Shop New Mexico on Coors de Montano weekly. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the fights that are coming up this weekend, and we'll talk about King of the Cage, also Frank Mir, and his fight with
Mark Hunt.
There we go. It's so many fights, so many fighters. That's the DC Life.